All right, everybody, welcome back to CrimeHQ. Tonight we are continuing our conversation on the DeOrr Kunz case. He has been missing. The anniversary is this month. 6 years ago this month, DeOrr Kunz disappeared while on a camping trip with his parents and great-grandfather and a friend of great-grandpa up in Lemhi, Idaho, near the Salmon area. So we appreciate you joining in with us tonight. It looks like we have a lot of people joining us. Just a quick recap over what we've covered, and then we'll introduce our guest tonight. We spoke with Sheriff Penner, Steve Penner. He's the Lemhi County Sheriff who has been on this case from the beginning 2 or 3 weeks ago. And then we spoke with Trina Bates Clegg, DeOrr's grandmother, last week. She interviewed with us. And tonight we are speaking with Philip Klein. He's one of the private investigators who has spent a lot of hours looking into this case. He was brought into the case. We'll let him explain how. And he was quite vocal and public in some of his findings, and basically came out and said, this is what I believe happened. And there was a little bit of fallout from the family over it. But Philip has been on this pretty much from day one, Philip, right? I mean, or at least a few months in after DeOrr disappeared.
Right, a few months. And just to give you a brief on how we got involved, we had some folks from Canada right up on your border that were following this case, that had begun to call our offices after I think I brought somebody home from Mexico, and they called me and said, you know, would you be interested in looking for this child? And we said, well, we don't know anything about the case, but send us a brief up on it. They sent us a brief. We looked at it and we kind of said, I don't know how we can help. And then the family called us and said, look, we really want you to come up. Interesting part of that was that the family, being the direct family, being Vernal Kunz and Jessica Mitchell, did not want us involved. They were uncooperative from the beginning. I think Frank Viltz was already involved, and Frank Viltz had bailed out on the case saying the parents weren't truthful. And he was very frustrated with it. He wanted to take the case national. We contacted Frank Viltz and said, hey, Frank, you know, tell us a little bit about the case. What's going on? And he says, well, you got a bunch of lying parents. And I said, oh, come on, Frank, come on. Just don't be mad. What is it? He goes, no, I'm telling you, they're lying to me. And I said, well, you've been a U.S. Marshal for a very long time. You know liars, and you know, because you get up in the federal side of that, you know, you're up there on the high ranks when you're a U.S. Marshal. You got to trust with what they say. The U.S. Marshals is a great group of law enforcement agents. And so kind of went, well, okay, what's, what are we going to do here? So we told the family that if they were able to raise our expenses, you know, this has been a big thing on the internet, a big thing with this new private investigator that's come in. If we just said, look, if you raise our expenses, Mr. Klein, that's me, has a fund in a trust that he pulls money out of to pay the employees to go up and do the work. I mean, they don't work for free, right? So we put an excellent team of people together. I think $20,000, and don't quote me on that, $20,000, I think it was, that was raised to pay airfare, moving dogs into the area, renting trucks, equipment, you name it, we were in. And so we said, well, okay, we'll take a run at it. Well, we got up there, and it was in the
let me pause you just for a minute. For those of you tuning in, type your questions in the Q&A tab. We'll hold them off until the end of our conversation, but we'll get to them. So yeah, as you have a question, type it in. We'll get to them at the end. Don't think that we're ignoring you. But yes, we'll focus on our interview and then we'll get to the questions. So you Perfect. Come to Idaho, family, you're saying the family necessarily didn't want you in the beginning, but you...
Well, I mean, we had this big family meeting, and the first thing I said in the family meeting is, some of you are not going to like me. And everybody kind of looked at me like, what? I said, you're not going to like me because my job is to find this young man. I'm not here to represent you all. I'm here to find this young little boy. And so that kind of got everybody's attention real quick. And we had about a 2-hour meeting. It was Caroline and myself, Caroline Gear, who was our case manager, myself. We had the meeting with the family and we laid it out. We just said, look, this is the way it's going to be. And so it was interesting to watch the dynamic in the room. from Grandpa to Jessica to Vernal to Trina's husband, relatives left and right. And I just laid it out for them. And I said, the first thing we're going to do, we're going to interview the people that were on the mountain. That's the first thing we're going to do. You guys are the last ones to see them. So we've got a hotel room set up, which I think kind of shocked them a little bit. We made it into an interview room. We have digital cameras set up. We're going to bring you in one at a time. We're going to talk to you, and we're going to set aside 4 or 5 hours for each interview. And we did. And then all of a sudden we started getting this stuff on tape. What was what they had originally said in their original sworn and written statements was opposite in some cases to what they had sworn to. We immediately called Sheriff Bowerman and said, hey, look, something's not right here. And he said, no kidding. And I said, yeah, something's not right here. And we're here to find this child. We're not here to be defense investigators. That's not why we're here. We're here to find this kid. So
you're working your private investigation, and the sheriff's office is doing their criminal investigation.
Exactly. So
are you cooperating?
Well, at that point, we had most of the team in town in Idaho Falls at that point. And, MJ Holmes, Trey Sargent, Caroline Gear, myself, Steve Hartman. I mean, I could go down the list of all the investigators that were up there. So we were all fanned out all over the place. And then I called over to the sheriff and I said, listen, is there a place we can go get something to eat and get everybody in a room? So we had the FBI, we had Lemhi County, Bonneville County, we had all the investigators involved in the case in a room, and they just shot it straight to me. They said, what do you think? And I said, here's what I think. I think the mother and father are lying to me, because what they said on this statement and what they said on tape are two different things in certain areas. So, if you're going to do your job, you're going to do it right. So I got the statements that were provided to us. I sent them back to the state of Georgia, to a gentleman over here in the state of Georgia on the other side of where you guys are, that does analysis and looks at them. And he looked at it and he said, yeah, these guys, when they're writing this, they were lying.
So can you give us an example of what didn't match up? I mean, were these...
Okay, let me tell you what didn't match up. The first thing that didn't match up was the timeline. Where'd you stop? How many times did you stop? What did you have in your trucks and cars? Where did you go to go get diesel? Well, we got lost. Well, if you've been up to DeOrr, it's pretty hard to get lost in DeOrr, but they stuck with that story. And then all of a sudden they started blurting out stuff like, well, the child put his hand in the tailpipe. What? I mean, tailpipes are 1,500 degrees. Where are you going with this? Oh, he said a lug nut was missing, and, the child stuck his hand in the tailpipe. We had to clean it off. Why didn't you tell the police that? Well, because, you forget things, and it's always, oh, we forgot. And so then we finally actually on I think the second trip or the third trip, we got up to the mountain and we actually got to see the layout. And we knew right then and there what they had told us couldn't have been the truth. There's no way that you could not have seen that child. There's no way that the child was doing what you said the child was doing. Here's some candy. Go take it to Grandpa. First, they told us Grandpa was in a chair and he said, come on, DeOrr. And then we find out Grandpa wasn't in the chair, that Grandpa was in fact asleep in the trailer, according to Grandpa. And then this poor guy, they just keep going after. Then they started pointing the finger,
Isaac Renwan.
Yeah, Isaac Renwan. They keep pointing the finger at him, and we kept going, okay, but where was Isaac? Oh, well, he was down fishing. Well, either Isaac was down fishing or he was up in camp. What was he? Oh, he's down fishing. Oh, no, wait, he was up in camp. Oh, no, wait, he was asleep in his tent. Oh, no, wait. Well, we really don't know. Well, we don't know. Well, what was he carrying? All the way down to what are you carrying? Was he carrying a fishing box, a tackle box? Was he carrying a rod and reel? What was he carrying? Got one of them say, well, he had a rod and reel. The other one said, well, he didn't have a tackle box. And it's the little things that kept bothering us until finally we just called this family meeting. I think it was in March, and we sat everybody down and we said, Vernal, the first thing we can tell you is, of course, and then of course the games begin. Alan Brownie's floating around in this restaurant at this hotel trying to listen in on the conversation, and it's so unprofessional.
Alan Browning is the attorney that was
the attorney for Vernal. And then finally we said, Vernal, we believe you need to probably hire legal counsel because everything you've told us, we can't prove up. And until we prove something up, we can't get a good timeline or know where this child went. We've got to know where the child went, guys. And Jessica was already starting to bail out on all of this. Vernal in that meeting, in different ways that you can do it, called Jessica a liar. Could Jessica have been involved? Yes, she could have been involved. And in the middle of all this, we're reporting to law enforcement directly after the meeting. Oh my God, we got a problem. What the hell's going on up here? They immediately called Jessica back in to the police station, and they do a 6 or 7 hour interview with her, and they just drill her. And I watched a little bit of it. I can tell you, I don't think I could have made it through that. I mean, the FBI guys really did a great job. And she almost gave in, and then Trina shows up and Vernal shows up. And because they knew what was going to be, I think Jessica was fixing to tell the story, whatever that story is. And she leaves with Vernal. They get in the car, they take off and they leave. Obviously, it looked like a mass exodus after a football game. All these undercover cars following them around. I guess they didn't know they were being watched. They go over to a sex shop and buy a thing called Clone My Winky and sex toys, and they proceed back to their apartment. Now, to the average person out there, that's weird, right? To investigators, after you've interrogated someone for 7-8 hours, is that something you would do normally? And at that point, we started taking a good hard look at Vernal and Jessica. At that point, Alan Browning then stepped in, told us we were fired, said he was going to sue us for making defamatory statements, which eventually he did sue us. He sued us twice. The first one, Jessica bailed out, so they had to drop it. The second one, they sued us. We almost got to discovery. I mean, we were this close to putting them both on the box. We're going to take their depositions. We were this close. And the judge came in and goes, hold on, everybody. Everything Klein has said in public, everything Klein has said is the same thing the cops are saying, and is the same thing they backed up with evidence. What are you people doing suing this man? He's righteous. He's truthful. He did everything under the law. What are you guys doing? And they couldn't come up with a good answer, so the judge dismissed the case. They appealed it. The appeal was dismissed because, again, same findings.